Welcome back to War Thunder and welcome to the Po-2, and this is the guide, and this is practically the second guide for the Helloween events. And the PO Night Witch race takes here on this tropical island, which is a very beautiful map, and it is a night race with the full moon in its full glory. Now there are certain tips and tricks that I will give you for taking the lead and holding it. And the very first tip is to have a good spawn point. Yeah, there is nothing you can do. The second tip is go low. Go very low, very early in the beginning and web the max. Now about the web, it is very important that you do not overheat the web, but more on this in a moment. The first tip, or the second tip, is also that you do not have to exactly fly through those yellow circles. If you miss some of them, or one of them, you have to turn around and fly through it or very near to it again. Now this is a very common situation. You are not the first in this row, and there are many competitors. Now flying very precise and very good is something that you have to learn yourself practically. Don't try to crash into somebody. Try to stay as low as possible, and for numerous reasons. First of all, it makes the route a bit shorter, it gives you the best possible acceleration, and also you are mostly out of the gunner position of the people in front of you, and some of them really try it. Not to their advantage in most of the cases. This was a very close call, to be honest, and here I am in first place. And what I do here is I have a few seconds to fly in straight line, and I didn't fly into any stone wall, and I tried to not just shoot one down, but, which is more important, to make him a little bit turn, to lose his speed and so on. And the machine gun gives you a little bit of a boost, but that is ridiculously small, I guess. And there is a little bug going on, to be honest. When you use the machine gun for the first time, it's like it doesn't work. It doesn't show any tracer, and it doesn't show any and you hear nothing basically. So that's the little bug, and many crashes here, and I am in second place. A very good pilot is in front of me. He also knows to make the most out of his W. Few good hits. If somebody flies with a damaged engine, that's very bad, even though this is arcade. And this is the long run. Here you have to make the most out of your you have to make the most out of your web, and have to try to fly on a constant altitude and not climb too much. Now I have no idea what this guy was doing with turning left. I don't know if he thought this is a shortcut, but he missed a point. He had to turn around, and that cost him first place. And now, look at this beautiful picture right here. The water, reflecting the light from the full moon. It's beautiful. And this is also the situation. A very beautiful situation. I'm in first place. I'm not damaged. And what now I have to do is the biggest challenge of them all. Not to screw up. This is now my call, not to screw up. Now, don't get too nervous in this situation. The guys behind you are the nervous guys, because they not just have to not screw up, but they also have to catch up. You have a bit of a lead right here, and just defend this little bit of lead, and just make this parkour a routine. Just fly through the yellow circles or very close to it, and don't get nervous from the engine noises. The parkour takes a lot of twists and turns, and that brings the route back to with some very tense turns. You get very close to your followers, but they have to still make a full turn, so they are not that close, but you hear them. And it seems like a lot of people get very nervous when they hear this. Now this is a little trick that I learned to go through those two piles and not directly make this hard turn. there are basically two versions of this race, but it's not as much of a difference as, for example, for the Hellcat race, as the two versions are on the same route but in different direction. Now, for an airplane in the long run, it doesn't make any difference, but when you have certain different ground resistances, it makes a huge difference for the race with the Hellcat or the Hellcat. Just mentioning it because I have a little bit of time here. Both the Po-2 and the, I nearly said Super Hellcat, and the Hellcat have boosted engines. And in arcade, the Hellcat has a 2,100 horsepower engine for a 20-ton tank. That's insane. That is a better horsepower to ton ratio than some cars. Yeah, that's amazing, isn't it? So it was really challenging. But this Po-2 is also very, very tuned, at least the engine. Now, when you get this plane eventually, when you are one of the top 1000s and you didn't get it so far, and you want to spade it because it appears in the normal tech tree without all the upgrades, prepare for a very frustrating grind. It doesn't matter if you play it in arcade or realistic, it's diabolically slow. And especially in arcade, half of the battles are, or half the battle is already over before you get even to the combat zone. Just keep that in mind. You're that slow with the normal Po-2. So it's a very iconic aircraft. A lot of memes were made about this aircraft, but it's not a very good aircraft in, you know, a real battle. You're literally the slowest flying thing in War Thunder. And again, we are now near the end, just about 30 red points, yellow circles to fly through, and I won. And you can see on the minimap I have a really, really long lead. And the thing is this, when you sum it up, to not screw up, to use or to make the most out of your web, and to not crash into something, and to, you know, sometimes have a bit of luck because your competitors make some mistakes, you might just make it to the end in first place. And I think it's totally worth it to fly this at least once or two times. And also there's a reward system, but you might look it up yourself. It's very simple. Once you gained a few points, you get a trophy, and you might get some 3D decoration. So that's it for today. You saw me winning this with a comfortable lead. And if you liked this video, please give it a like. Subscribe if you want to see more. Let me know in the comment section if this little guide has helped you a little bit. And we'll see each other in the skies of War Thunder.